Everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays a Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. We got 3 wins in a row, 3 wins in a row. Okay, 3 wins in a row. It's nothing, but it's something. It's our nothing, you know what I mean? J6L, J3V, ZF. ZF to give as well, until we get a streak that's a little bit better. But you know what? We're in a luxurious position. We have ZF to give. The reason we have ZF to give, and you can ask your parents what it means, they'll tell you when you're older, is because we started with a great subset of items here. It's a beautiful situation. It's an unbelievable situation. What can you say about having 6 damage right off the bat? I was actually, to be honest with you, I thought we had 12 damage and 6 rate of fire. Man, that would have been, I mean, that would have been unbelievable to have that this early on in a run. I don't even know what you would say at that point. You would, I mean, if you said anything other than thank you, it would fall on deaf ears. It's like that Simpsons quote, I got 3 kids and no money. Why can't I have no kids and 3 money? Oh, Homer. Who's your favorite Simpsons character? Well, while we're talking about it. I was never a Bart Simpson guy. I feel like a lot of boys my age were unfairly maligned as Bart Simpson guys. Bart, you know, I got nothing against him, okay? Just never really related to him that hard. He's not a character that made sense to me. I didn't get in that much trouble in my boyhood. And he's always, I mean, he's got a rapscallion attitude, but I don't know if I would say that Bart Simpson has a good heart. I mean, he's done some bad things. That doesn't mean he's necessarily a bad person, but simultaneously, he's done some, like, terrible things. You know that episode where he, tricks Miss Krabappel into thinking that the guy that looks like Gordie Howe is in love with her because he used Gordie Howe's photo? And then she's crying in the room. Oh, that's too real, dude. I mean, look, he's like 8 years old in the show. I'm just saying. That's ruthless. I was never down with that. I gotta be honest, I think I respect the Lisa Simpson, you know? Lisa is, at least, I mean, she's a fictional character, but she is brighter than I was. But I can relate to that kind of growing up. I didn't really grow up in, like, a family that didn't share interests with me. My family and I share interests. But I grew up in an environment where, you know, I lived in the country and, you know, my neighbors who became my de facto friends just due to the fact that we lived close together were like, hey, you want to, like, you know, jump our dirt bikes over this dirt ramp we made ourselves? And I'm like, not really. Do you want to talk about the Wes Anderson film Rushmore? And they're like, not really. We were like, you know, it wasn't a terrible situation. And we did find common ground. I would watch Walker, Texas Ranger at their house sometimes. This is not a joke. Walker, Texas Ranger, briefly, for them, was appointment viewing. And I mean no disrespect there. I think that's where I got a lot of my, I don't know. I guess I do like the HP here, to be honest. That's where I got a lot of my, my enjoyment from media being so bad it's good. Look, I mean, I'm not trying to insult the good name of Walker, Texas Ranger or Chuck Norris, except to say that Walker, Texas Ranger is just absolutely ridiculous. There's a lot of... I mean, you should go back. If you watch that show as an adolescent, you should go back and watch a little bit of it. It's pretty wild. Anyway. We played some video games. My favorite video game anecdote from that period of my life is, you know, we played a lot of N64 Super Smash Bros. Well, why didn't you play Melee, the superior game? Oh, because it was but a figment in Sakurai's eye that would not come out for like another 5 years. Also, none of us had a GameCube because we thought that buying that console emasculated you. Instead, we had to get the incredibly large console shaped like the letter X. But, what was I even saying? I don't even remember. Oh, we would always play, Smash, and, I was better than my friends that I played with, which was not, a surprise, because they all had, like, real responsibilities as early as middle school, whereas I could just sit inside and play games all day. But whenever I would play as Link, and I would use the beam sword, you know, from like an item crate or barrel, or even a CB2. It's a little interior decorating joke for those of you out there who have been furniture shopping recently. You know, I'd use the sword, or I'd use, like, you know, the gun while also being Fox, and they would be like, that's not fair. You already have a sword. You shouldn't be able to use the item sword. You already have a gun. You shouldn't be able to use the blaster. Try as I might to explain to them, well, Sakurai balanced it so that, you know, the gun that I get from the item crate is substantially better than the gun that I hold. But they just go, a gun's a gun. So we had house rules, like, you know, if you're playing as Fox, you can't use the blaster. I have no words except to say, hey man, that's kids, you know? Those are just, it's child's play. Those were I mean, those were not the days, but those were days. So that's why I think, at least on some level, I can relate to Lisa Sims. I also, you know, Homer, I do respect. I think he has a good heart. He's a very relatable character. However, I wish he took more pride in his job. You know, I feel like you could almost get away with... the tone was different, okay? Back in, like, you know, the 1990s, Homer working at a nuclear power plant, but, you know, not really caring that much about safety. You know, you were like, ah, that's the nuclear family. Pun intended, I suppose. Now, you're like, my dude has basically a government job with benefits, and he can't be bothered to even pay attention when, like, the nation's power supply is in his hand. It's not fair to Homer, because the episodes are made in a different time. I'm just saying, you know, the culture has shifted slightly, and, you know, he should take pride in his work. That's all I'm trying to say. Plus, I mean, my God, this is a dangerous place. We have been to Item Room. We have been to Shop. We did not go to Curse Room, and I don't want to. I think we're just moving down a floor. This has been a very fluid run so far. I'm a happy camper. Trying to think if there's... You know what? There probably is a more relatable cartoon character for me, but I gotta be honest, I haven't watched a lot of the very critically acclaimed cartoons that have come out since, like, 2012 and 2013. I have seen Rick and Morty. I've said my piece about Rick and Morty many, many, many times on the show. I think that I actually... It's not my favorite show, by any means. But I feel bad, honestly, for the creators of the show. I feel like there was kind of like the public perception got destroyed after the whole Szechuan sauce debacle and the I'm Pickle Rick, etc., etc. Just one of the many, many examples of the community... kind of screwing things up for the creator. Without being too rude. I'm not saying everybody who watches Rick and Morty is in this boat. Quite frankly, if you watch Rick and Morty, you probably, you know, a normal person who is embarrassed by the people jumping on the counter going, give me that Szechuan sauce. Plus, people later told me that it's like a false flag situation, I guess. Like, it was a guy who was just trying to make fun of Rick and Morty who did it. It wasn't actually a big Rick and Morty fan in the first place. I don't know, man. Point is, I think Rick and Morty, I think it's good. I think it's better than fine. And I hope that they're able to distance themselves from the negativity that's been around and also maintain a certain level of quality. We've had Jar of Flies too much lately. Give me chaos. We're gonna ball out here. I haven't seen, I mean, I've seen like 3 episodes of BoJack Horseman, but as I understand it, and this was back when it started airing on Netflix, so whenever Netflix would have a new show, you were constitutionally obligated to watch at least a couple episodes. Just to go, like, dude, they nailed House of Cards. They nailed Orange is the New Black. I gotta give it a try. By the way, I can tell you the exact moment that stopped being realistic for me is when I watched the revival of Arrested Development and went, what on earth is happening here? I said, you know what? Maybe I'll take a pass on some of these new Netflix originals just for a bit here. Yo, give me the Guppy item. We're doing it, boys. No offense meant to the Russo brothers. I don't even know if they were involved in the 4th season of Arrested Development. Anyway. But I think, to be honest, I think I would like BoJack. I think I'm from what I see about BoJack, I think I'd be a BoJack guy. Bob's Burgers, I don't know. Is Bob's Burgers kind of like the spiritual successor to King of the Hill? You know, it's like, it's kind of an every, you know, I don't want to say every man because it's like an ensemble cast, but it's like a average people being kind to each other, but in like maybe a small town folksy sort of way. It's kind of the vibe I got about it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not sure it's a 100% my kind of show, but I love King of the Hill. It's my favorite anime. I'm familiar with the memes. That's right, he's familiar with the memes. Yo, we got so lucky with Chaos here. We're popping. Okay, we have been to our item room. We might as well just bounce, honestly. I haven't seen Tuca and Birdie. They canceled it. Probably not the right time to get invested. I heard it was good, though. And I haven't, I'm trying to think of what else is even that, you know, Steven Universe, I understand. Believe it or not, people paint me as this, cold, unfeeling menace. Oh, why would I watch a show that could make you feel good when I could watch a show that could teach you a rational skill? Look, it's funny, don't get me wrong, but it's also, I mean, it's very insulting to suggest I don't have that, you know, level of emotional capacity just because of the mediums that I choose to consume, you know? You're letting your television, music, movie, anime, manga preferences dictate your worth as a human being in some ways and, you know, control your entire personality, and I think that that's short-sighted. That's my 2 cents on that subject. However, I think you're probably right. When I watched a couple of episodes of Steven Universe, I was like, this is a cool show, but it's got a few too many lessons for me. I could be learning how to woodwork right now, or reading up on the appropriate way to use the hook grip for deadlifts. You're not wrong, okay? So, but only I should be able to say it. You're cutting kind of close to the bone, you know what I mean? I don't like watching shows where people solve stuff. Apart from that, I'm kind of like, you know what? Big Mouth has been, I don't know, Big Mouth, it started some controversy, right? There was some controversial stuff about that. I've never seen the show, so as a result, clearly I'm probably the only person on Earth capable of actually leaving a comment on that. Just kidding. Get me out. And that's it. Those are all the cartoons. I know Family Guy's still on the air. I know South Park's still on the air. I just, you know, at some point I decided I have to leave my teenage years. And I decided that when I was 9. So that ship has sailed for me. You know who the most relatable cartoon character is? Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Except for the part where he's a box of French fries that can shoot lasers out of his eyes. That's the most relatable character in any cartoon in history. Because everybody else in that show is a caricature. You know? They're all, Master Shake is just, he's only out for himself. Meatwad is naive and easily taken in, but very sweet. Carl is, I don't even know what you would describe Carl's personality as. Abrasive and a little horny. And very lonely. But either way, Master Shake, he's just trying to survive in this workaday world. He's going like, hey, don't put yourself in the microwave. And Meatwad's like, I'm doing it. And then Master Shake's like, he's doing it. Let him go. What's the worst that could happen? And then, you know, Frylock is like, he could splatter his brains all over the, I don't know the brand of a microwave. Our new GE microwave? So what? Yeah, so what? You know, I just, look, the episodes are only 15 minutes long. We could probably improv one right now. I'll tell you, I don't know if I'm going to talk about cartoons for the whole freaking episode, alright? I just stood there and ate that, but, I feel like Aqua Teen Hunger Force has some of the best episodes of any television show in history, and then every other episode is not worth watching at all. Without the show's been off the air for a while, and before you get mad at me, I own the whole freaking series on DVD. Okay, that's not a joke. There's like many episodes, maybe like 6 episodes of that show that are absolute television classics. You know, Billy Witch Doctor's a really good one. Jiggle Billy. Anything involving the Mooninites is up there. And then there's just a lot of episodes where, to be honest with you, kind of like watching this is beneath you. Not necessarily beneath you like, oh, you're too good for it, but you're like, you could be doing something else right now. Okay, I'm stoked we got the Guppy dream to come true. I was worried we wouldn't, and we're gonna be in a solid spot here. I mean, we're obviously like already in an extremely solid spot, but now we're Guppy. And dude, this is the kind of run I was looking for. This is your dream come true right here. Anyway, that's my dissertation. That's my thesis on cartoons. We gotta find something else to talk about. I can't talk about cartoons that much. You know, they say discuss what you know. I don't really know that much about cartoons in the modern day. But I hit you with a little Righteous Gemstones talk. Last episode, you know, it's the penultimate episode of the season. It's very good. Show just keeps getting better over time, I feel. Apart from that, it's been, you know, I'm in an anecdote deficient phase of my life right now, but you know, who could have possibly diagnosed it, you know? Everybody knew that most of my anecdotes came from the grocery store. Well, when I used to go to the grocery store, you know, I'd go to the grocery store a little bit more often because my diet was a little bit more erratic, you know? So I'd be buying different stuff all the time. Now when I go to the grocery store, I only buy like 6 things. I don't have to go to the grocery store as much because I got it all sorted out. The anecdote pool is dried up. I got no anecdotes for you. I gotta actively seek out the anecdotes. I gotta leave my house. But even then, it's hard to get an anecdote going because nobody in Vancouver talks to each other. Which is, to be honest with you, the way it should be. Are you an elevator talker? Are you a small talker? I'm not a small talker. In fact, I'll take you even a step further. I'm not trying to Seinfeldize this bit, but people don't like hearing this if they're into small talk, but everybody who's not is like, thank you for finally having the courage to say it. Small talk is selfish. People who are small talkers, they don't get it. They think that small talk is an act of mercy or an act of strength. They think everybody wants to constantly be engaged in a conversation at all times. If they're not engaged in a conversation, they feel awkward. They feel like, oh, who's going to start the conversation? Who's going to say something? Blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. Most of the time, you know, if I step on an elevator and I hit floor 61, I'm not thinking, oh no, we're going to have to talk the whole way up. I'm more like, check it out. Long elevator ride. Can't use my phone for a bit. Might as well, I guess. I think we should take both, honestly. But they think that they're falling on the sword, you know? That they're throwing themselves in front of the bullet to be like, going up, huh? You know? I've gotten in trouble for this opinion in the past, but I'm not saying you should never small talk. There's some situations where it just makes sense, you know? You know, your friend, hey, you're walking down the street, and they see somebody they know, and you go, hey, this is James. James, this is Ryan. Ryan, this is James. And then he goes, oh, I gotta use the bathroom real quick. You and James, you're not just gonna stand there, not talking to one another, you know, while your friend's in the bathroom. You're gonna try to make some conversation because you've already been introduced. This is the polite thing to do. Reasonably and like on a literal level, what's the difference? You know, maybe there's not one. But, you know, it's just that it's a societal norm. But on the subway, on the elevator, you know, so the worst, sitting next to you on an airplane. Look, I don't travel to meet interesting people. travel to see interesting places, or alternatively, because every game studio and media outlet is in San Francisco, California. Except for Paradox, which is in Sweden. But anyway, I know there's a lot of others. We can all name them. But anyway, it's just a joke. Don't send me an essay. You know, I can understand, you know, if you grew up in an earlier time where there was not access to the internet, basically just the internet, and then like mobile devices in everybody's hands. Small talk was, maybe it was merciful, you know, everybody's bored. I mean, I don't know, if you didn't bring a magazine on an airplane in like the 1960s, what do? You just look straight ahead? Like some kind of psycho? That's just kind of stole that bit from Curb Your Enthusiasm. I just want to show it the attention, or the attribution it requires, I should say. I don't know what you do, you know. You should talk to the person beside you, just so you're both maybe spared from a little bit of internal dialogue. But, you know, in the modern day, you know, hey, I'm watching the movie that won Best Picture at the Oscars 2 years ago. Originally, I was going to say last year. Then I remembered it was Green Book. Caused a lot of controversy. Went back to 2 years ago. To be honest with you, don't remember what it was. That's okay. Definitely didn't cause as much controversy as Green Book. So, you know, the person beside you does a tap, tap, tap. Hey, where you going? Look at the freaking ticket, dude. Where are you going? LAX. You think you're better than Moonlight, sir? I don't know. What do you do? Oh, you're a linoleum salesman? Well, that's interesting. I'm watching a movie about what it means to be a compassionate human being in modern society. Do you have something you could say that could compete with that? And you know, NL, that's rude. That's rude. That's rude. It's not rude. That person, their own inability to be unoccupied by themselves has made you an unwitting accomplice in their scheme. That's why I think it's a selfish act. People got a little upset with me, but of all my curmudgeonly opinions, these are the ones that I cling most firmly to. Another one that's relatively innocuous, but has still got me in a little bit of heat. Whistling in public, selfish act. It's like, for me, there's no difference between and I'm not, you know, by the way, I'm not saying like if you elect me, we're gonna, you know, jail all whistlers. I whistle. I just don't whistle in public. I see it. You ever have one of those situations where, like, you know, you have a song stuck in your head and it feels good to sing it, you know? He is very minkus. She is very minkus. He is very, 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 very minkus. That's Dan playing Tetris 99 on Spooky Castle Team. It's been stuck in my head for a long time. Feels great to sing, right? So you're like, I'm brightening the world with my music. But then have you ever heard somebody else have a song in their head and they can't stop singing it or whistling it, humming it, etc., etc.? It's annoying, right? You know why it's annoying? Because they're singing along to a soundtrack that's only in their own head. For everybody else, it's a little bit of noise pollution. I'm not saying it's that bad. It's not the same as, you know, using a vuvuzela at the grocery store. All I'm saying is I didn't realize a lot of people, they got a lot of emotions wrapped up in the whistle. They think that by whistling, they're basically an auditory rainbow that's adding some brightness to the Safeway or the Buy Low Meats or the etc., etc. I don't see it that way. I see it as, like, I get it. You've got Groove is in the Heart stuck in your head, but that didn't mean you had to get it stuck in everybody else's head. And also, when you're, and trust me, because I sing in the car. I don't sing in the shower because my wife would hear me. I sing in the car when I'm driving by myself, when only I can hear me. I think I sound great. Then when I sing in Twitch Sings, everyone's like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. So apparently it's not that good. But I still think it's an agree to disagree situation. But the point is, it sounds good to you. It does not sound good to anybody else. Well, that's not true. If you're a great singer, maybe. If you're not a great singer, all they're hearing is like the worst possible version of whatever song is stuck in your head. Here's the thing that I say, okay? If you're pro whistle in public, And by the way, you might just be like, I just don't care. That's actually the real Galaxy Brain opinion. But you also don't have to fill another 8.5 minutes of Isaac dialogue on a run that is a clear victory. So get off your freaking high horse, okay? But if you're pro whistling, you think that it's cool if you're out in public, like whistling a song. How do you feel if somebody has their phone out and is playing that exact same song? I think that most people are like, that's not cool, that's selfish, how come they get to listen to their music, I don't get to listen to my music? Yeah, but do you think that your whistling sounds better than the actual music? Like, let me put it this way. I think both of them are very selfish acts. However, given the choice between someone playing music loudly in public or someone whistling loudly in public, I'll take the music being played loudly, to be honest. I'm rebelling against the whistle being misconstrued as an act of benevolence or even charity. And again, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. The medium of whistling, hey man, no problem. If you go to a whistle convention, if you're whistling along to something yourself, hey, if there's nobody around you, you know, you look left, you look right, 2 city blocks, no other human beings, by all means. If you're in a crowded place and you start whistling a song, it's not enough to write you off as a human being. But I'm like, so I might elbow my wife and be like, hey, get a load of this guy. Who does he think he is? Well, what's his name? Whistling Billy? What do you think? You think he does that everywhere? You think he goes around everywhere? Goes to bed? Hey, honey, I'm going to bed. Good night. Marching in. And then it was going to be the Star Wars theme song, but honestly I wanted to stop the bit because I know that whistling into the microphone is not a very pleasant sound. And I have more respect for you than the public whistlers have for the airspace around them, okay? I was just doing it to demonstrate a point. Should we have done this? Why not? Why not? And this run, again, is in the bag. There are 12 different ways we could win this right now. Now, God, I'm sorry, I got when the Saints go marching in stuck in everybody's head now. I forgot the amount of power I have. Oh, I want to be in that number when the Saints go marching. Dun 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 dun. I don't know, it just fits. Oh, how I'd like to have midichlorians when my midichlorians are tested. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. How's that a great deal? Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya. See ya.